Hey guys, I hope this video finds you well wherever you are. Lately, my practice involves a lot of plein air painting and I started bringing them back to the studio for the first time throughout all my painting journey and finish them here. So today I thought I would just take you outside my home, 5 minutes from here. We'll paint a beautiful scene, bring it back to the studio and finish it here. And I hope you find it useful. Let's get started. For those of you who watched my practice vlogs, this is the plein air painting from the second vlog that I've made, and as I said, it's just outside my home here in Israel, looking out to Lake Kinneret and the blossoming of the almond trees at its peak. I begin by setting up my gear using a 25 by 25 centimeters wooden panel, and I'm going for a square composition. I knew already what kind of composition I wanted before I even got there, so it was relatively easy to establish that. One thing that is very helpful for me is to pre-mix colors for each area before I begin painting it. I find it more convenient to have piles of prepared paint that I can adjust with my primary palette instead of, mixing with my brush, and usually it gets out thin, way too thin, and when I have a pile of paint I can control how opaquely and how much paint I use. Within this scene, I reinvented the skies. I had this vision where behind the almond tree I'm painting, there could be a giant lingering cloud, and I arrange it in a manner that will suit the square composition. I begin just by blocking in all the colors I see. This is very much like note-taking in the journal, for example. I'm not concerned so much with the detail, but with the general color feeling of each area. Knowing I'll be back in the studio and rework it, I just want enough information, the nature of each color you can say, and were more cool or chromatic or muted, etc. So this is what I'm looking for here. Something I noticed while I was outside painting is the branches in between the flowers of the almond tree, and I went and wanted to establish that, knowing I would be back in the studio as I said, but I wanted to capture the colors of them. It was, you think usually that the branches are brown and etc, but they had this yellowish and greenish tones, beautiful, and I wanted to catch it and to layer on top of it the flowers of the almond tree. Another thing that I'm taking into consideration while I'm outside is experimentation. I try different brushes, I try different way to express different elements in the landscape. I'm not so much stressed because I know I will rework it. So it gives me an opportunity to play, which is a very important part of art, I think, especially if we're too critical of our artwork. So here I am, just putting dabs of paint, finishing it off before I take it back, and it was an extremely beautiful day. I enjoyed it so much. It gives so much life to just be outside and soak in nature, watch her, you know, connect with her, connect with your subject matter. I'm really falling in love with this practice, and I seriously can't get enough of it. And every time I go outside, I just return with so many ideas. Like, for example, I'm just currently now starting a big piece inspired by this small plein painting. I did another plein air painting with an almond tree, and I built sort of a bigger composition, and here you can see how it looked when I finished. Now I'm back in the studio. First thing I want to do is to re-establish all the colors more opaquely. This is still not the last color layer, but I could make better decisions if the colors are closer to what they will be in the end. And I use the information I gathered by observing and painting outside. So it's just a quick wash of color. I will let it dry and I'm ready to go. I realized I didn't film all of the re-establishing colors, but I think it's a good thing because we can jump straight to details. And after the painting dried, I looked at the skies and they seemed pretty dark to me, so I wanted to brighten everything up. And this is exactly what I meant by saying that I will judge better after I re-establish the colors. For that cloud I invented, I knew I had some good references of the same type of clouds from years back that I could use to invent something which will suit the mood and the composition. I really tried looking when I was outside what is happening to the clouds in the skies in terms of colors, or how far back are they, atmospheric perspective, and I applied it to this invented cloud using mostly memory and just using the reference for the structure rather than the colors. One thing I really love about painting outside and bringing it back to the studio is the deeper connection you have with each painting. You recall information from the experience. For example, if you look on the top of the tree, there is a dark dot on the top of it, and this was a quiet little bird that sat there towards the end while I was painting outside. This stuff for me makes it all so engaging and amazing. I'm carefully building here this almond tree, and I'm using other references I took while I was out to create a more fully blossomed tree. And I'm still thinking what I saw outside. For example, I mentioned earlier the branches between the flower that are catching the light and becoming more greenish and yellowish. So I incorporated that. These are the things that the camera would never catch because it will be all in the darks and the camera will just kill all the colors. It brings kind of a life to the painting. They look more alive and not just realistic. Something to note here, if you'll see, the cloud is not lighter than the almond tree. I see many people paint clouds with pure white, and while sometimes it can be the case, oftentimes it's not. This cloud specifically needs to be far back, and I saved the lighter highlights for this almond tree. In the foreground, I'm trying to be more loose and create something which is very natural. I'm being really inspired by some Russian painters, which sometimes it looks like they treat the foreground as one mass and just throwing many dabs of colors roughly in the same value. So this is what I try to do here to some extent. Putting those final details to bring it all together, and I hope you enjoyed and found the video helpful. Let me know in the comments what you thought. I really enjoy reading them. There are many more videos on the way, so until then, have a good day, thank you, and see you on the next one.